The old Khan veteran's mandibles clicked as he drained his glass. His drink was thick, foaming with the sour fermentation of his homeworld's root plants, but he didn't taste it anymore. "You want to know why we lost the war?" he rasped, voice low and bitter. His compound eyes seemed to stare not at the young reporter across from him, but at some battlefield years gone. "We never stood a chance against those lunatic primates." Across the table, Rhea leaned forward, antennae quivering with curiosity. She was fresh to the profession, her carapace still gleaming with the sheen of youth, her datapad hovering beside her ready to record. But the Khan Empire had superior fleets, advanced weapons. The veteran let out a harsh, rattling laugh, his mandibles scraping together in mirthless amusement. "Superior. Let me tell you something about humans. They've been perfecting war since before they left their cradle. While we were refining plasma cannons, they were inventing 100 new ways to cut each other apart with sharpened steel and explosives. War isn't science to them, it's art." Rhea frowned. "Art? They don't fight by equations. First battle we had, we marched in with flawless formations, optimized by our best war logic engines. Every trajectory calculated, every maneuver rehearsed. Do you know what they did?" He leaned forward, mandibles clacking. "Dropped tungsten rods from orbit, just big hunks of metal. Killed more ships in minutes than our fleets had lost in decades. They call it rods from God, pure kinetic fury. No radiation, no exotic signatures, just death falling from the sky." His voice dropped lower, almost reverent in its bitterness. "I saw the immeasurable Dawn torn in two. She was the pride of our navy, largest warship ever built by the Khan. A symbol of our dominance. One impact, just one, split her spine clean in half. Tens of thousands dead before they even knew they were under attack. That was my introduction to humanity's way of war." Rhea shifted uneasily, her stylus pausing over her notes. "But you had numbers. Numbers mean nothing to them." The veteran's mandibles clicked, not with laughter this time, but with disgust. "They train to fight outnumbered. It's practically their mythology. Thermopylae, Canna, Stalingrad, they worship stories of hopeless odds. Their children grow up reciting tales of last stands. Do you know what that does? It teaches them not just to endure hopelessness, but to embrace it." He tapped one claw against the table for emphasis. "Every child plays combat games, paintball, laser tag, capture the flag. Even their sports, football, rugby, hockey, are practice for war disguised as play. While our civilians study philosophy or art, theirs are learning flanking maneuvers and ambush tactics before they've shed their first teeth. Their civilians spend more time running simulations than our generals. And when the battle doesn't go their way," he leaned closer, mandibles brushing the rim of his glass, "they improvise." Rhea gave a skeptical flick of her antennae. "Improvisation doesn't win wars. Tell that to the garrison at Imara's Rift." The veteran's eyes hardened. "They blew their own reactors to fry both fleets, then boarded us with chemical rockets and welding torches." Welding torches. Do you understand how mad that is? Charging into vacuum with tools meant for construction, not war." Rhea tilted her head, curiosity tinged with doubt. "And you said they sang?" The Khan shuddered, mandibles scraping. "Songs about soldiers dying, songs about parachutes failing. I heard them through the hull over our comms. Their voices carried in the void, like spirits mocking us. They cut through our bulkheads while chanting choruses about death as though it were a drinking game." He took another long gulp, as if to wash away the memory. "Imagine fighting an enemy who celebrates tragedy, who finds rhythm in carnage. It was like facing a species that worshipped extinction itself." Rhea's quills bristled. "Primitive, primitive." His glass slammed onto the counter hard enough to slosh foam across the table. Several patrons turned to glance, but the veteran ignored them. "They use anything: bullets, plasma, knives, propaganda. At Tirash Gate, they turned a pleasure station into a warhead, emptied the passengers, filled the tanks with fuel, then ignited it and rammed our formation. At Vera, their marines strapped explosives to asteroids and rode them into our carriers. I saw one of them, helmet cracked, leaking atmosphere, laughing as he slammed into a destroyer. Already dead, yet still choosing how to spend his last seconds. You call that primitive?" Rhea swallowed, her hands tightening on the datapad. The veteran leaned back, the weight of his memories etched into every ridge of his carapace. At Keshar Prime, we thought we had them cornered, trapped their army inside their own cities. We cut off food, water, power. They should have surrendered. Instead, they poisoned the rivers, the wells, even their own aquifers. Whole populations died choking, not because of us, because they denied us the satisfaction of victory. They would rather burn their homes, kill their young, salt their own soil than let an enemy take it. Do you know how you fight something like that? Rhea said nothing. You don't, he whispered. You just endure until they decide you've suffered enough. He leaned closer, mandibles brushing the air between them. And when they couldn't win, they made sure no one else did. At the siege of Harrow's Moon, they detonated every fuel depot while they were still inside them, turned the colony into a firestorm. Our troops died screaming, but so did theirs. And the survivors, they charged us bare-handed, skin burning, lungs seared, eyes blind. They clawed at us, tore at us, not caring if they lived another heartbeat, as long as they dragged one of us with them. Rhea forced herself to maintain her composure, though her thorax tightened. But with our superior ships, the veteran shook his head slowly, sorrowfully. Our ships were elegant, balanced, designed for efficiency. Theirs, brutal, ugly slabs of metal with engines bolted on, layers of armor instead of shields, over-engineered monsters that looked like they'd been cobbled together in a scrapyard. But you couldn't kill them. You could gut them, cripple their systems, burn half their decks, and they'd still crawl forward, guns blazing. His voice trembled. I watched a destroyer, the John Paul Jones, take 37 direct hits, whole decks exposed to vacuum, fires burning across its spine, half the crew dead, the rest suffocating. And still, it rammed one of our carriers head-on, tearing us both apart. Do you know what the last transmission from its captain was? A joke. He laughed as he died. Who laughs into the abyss? Silence lingered between them for a long moment, broken only by the muffled sound of humans singing across the bar. The veteran lowered his voice. And their weapons, everything. Energy beams, railguns, chemical warheads, drones, viruses. If it could wound, they used it. They even weaponized information. Flooded our networks with lies, rumors, stories. Soldiers deserted because they believed humans could see in the dark or tear through steel with bare hands. Sometimes the lies were more effective than their guns. Rhea's professional mask slipped, unease creeping into her tone. But why? Why are they so relentless? The Khan's compound eyes reflected the dim lights like two dark mirrors. Because they enjoy it. Not the killing, not most of them anyway, but the challenge, the puzzle. To them, war is a game, a chance to prove themselves. They treat battle like music, strategy like poetry. We fought with science. They fought with imagination. He gestured toward the humans at the far end of the bar, arm wrestling, laughing, wagering drinks. See them. Everything is competition. Everything is training. They sharpen themselves without even trying, but push them too far, threaten their homes, their young, and all that playfulness burns away. Then you'll see what we saw. The masks drop, and you face something older, something terrible, something that remembers the hunt, the kill, the fire in the dark. The veteran rose, his shoulders bent under the weight of memory. Remember this, if you ever find yourself against a human, surrender. Because if you don't, they'll take your weapons, your tactics, your strategies, make them better, and use them against you. And they'll probably be humming a cheerful tune while they do it. He chittered once, a dry, broken sound, then vanished into the corridor's shadows. Rhea sat frozen, her datapad heavy in her hands. She wanted to laugh at the absurdity, to dismiss his words as exaggeration, as the delusions of a broken old warrior. But then she looked back at the humans. They had started singing again, something about bottles of drink stacked on a wall, and the sound made her thorax crawl. For the first time, she understood why so many species whispered about humans not as soldiers, not as warriors, but as gods of war.